Welcome, everybody, to Funeral Nation episode number 41. I'm Ryan Thogmart, and that is Jeff, the Funeral Commander Harbison. And Jeff, I'm excited this week to have part two of our interview with Homesteaders CEO Steve Lang, dropping a lot of data and knowledge on our listeners. And of course, none of this would be possible without our title sponsor. Take that away.
Hey, you know, it's interesting today. Glad that you brought that up. I have a client that spoke very highly of our C&J group, or fast funding group. C&J Financial is one of them. He'd never used a funding company before, ever. And he actually called me today and said what a pleasant surprise it was, so much easier, and he got paid so much faster. So, you know, listen to me, do what you got to do. But the bottom line is Fast Funding Group, which has American Funeral Financial, C&J Financial, Funeral Funding Center. You got to use this, guys. It's crazy not to do that and get your money. And it's verification. And guess what? You can also find out if the insurance is no good. So anyway, visit cjf.com, AmericanFuneralFinancial.com, and FuneralFundingCenter.com. You'll be glad you did.
Fantastic. What do we got coming up today besides our interview with Steve?
Well, I'm going to change things up a little bit. We've had Spotlight on a funeral director, and today we're going down to Texas to a funeral professional contributing to our industry and our profession. And also, you're going to take a look at the WTF and say, hey, wait a minute, don't hit the brakes so hard.
There you go. Well, I'd say, Jeff, this week, a hot button topic has been the Funeral Consumer Alliance petition to demand that funeral homes show their pricing online. And they've made the comparison to funeral homes showing their prices online to restaurant menus. And it's really struck a chord, which I don't disagree.
Well, we had Josh Slocum on. Josh, if you're watching this, we're going to give you a call back. We want you to come back on because I think you need to come on here and share what's inside your head there. But, you know, there's two sides of the coin. There's the consumer side and the funeral home side. And a GPL is like a restaurant menu. It's got good services and prices. But that's the only place where I end, you know, on the comparison. I'm lost on the rest of it. So, I think we'll see if we can have Josh to come on and frankly, let's discuss that again. He came before. It was a really good show. And frankly, I think we're about one of the only ones in the funeral industry that'll host him. So,
right,
Josh, we'll be looking for you.
You got it. Well, Jeff, our buzz segment is brought to us by Funeral DNA ID, a simple collection of DNA, and you don't have to send the sample out of the country of the funeral home. Let's roll that promo.
You can't predict the future, however, you can protect your business and the families you're serving. Funeral DNA ID kits that collect and preserve DNA during the cremation and burial process. Swab, spot, seal, legacy preserve. For more information, please visit funeraldnaid.com.
All right, Jeff, we introduced this guest last week. We got him on for part two. Who is it?
Steve Lang, the Chief Executive Officer of Homesteaders Life. He's been with Homesteaders since 2008 with over 2 decades of experience in the industry. You really need to watch this segment. The last one was fantastic. This one really gets into some real meat and potatoes. So let's go ahead and roll that interview.
From a funeral home management and growth perspective, if you owned a firm, what would be your primary objectives?
You know, it's a great question, and if I owned the firm, I mean, obviously I'll put in my pitch for pre-need. I think that you can move market share very effectively if you use pre-need as a tool to do it. But more than that, this is really about understanding your market, understanding the consumers, and then giving them what they look for. Dean Lambert and I were musing over this issue of whether calling funeral home owners funeral directors is a good idea or not, because the implication is consumers don't know anything and we're going to direct them. So we'll tell them they need a casket. We're going to tell them that they need a traditional service. We'll tell them they need to go to a church. And if they don't want to do that, they're going to find someone that'll give them what they want. So what funeral homeowners need to really focus on is get into their market, do the research, focus groups, anything they can do to gather information, to understand what consumers are looking for in a funeral, and then give it to them. Give them the value that they're looking for. That would be my advice, and that'd be the first thing I'd do if I owned a funeral home.
Interesting. In fact, just hearing the message is listen to consumers and
What a shock, huh?
right, yeah, and create something that their needs are looking for, rather than trying to shove something down there that they're not, because they will dictate the market. And that's really good advice and a good idea.
I remember talking to a senior executive in one of the casket companies. I won't mention which one. And we were talking about the trend toward cremation. I said, "What are you guys going to do about this? What do you want to do?" He says, "We just got to convince them to buy caskets." And I said, "Okay, well, good luck with that plan."
Yeah, that's working really, really well. You know what? I'll just have to not say anything there, because I think that's well. Frankly, it's an issue. And Steve, coming from a senior level person in the industry, that's exactly the truth. We spend more time trying to change the market than adapt to the market and give it what they're searching for. Yep. Social media. How do you talk to people? Look at us today here. Having you on so many people that maybe traditionally wouldn't have the opportunity to listen or to hear directly from someone of your stature and level in our industry. They're going to hear it. They're going to see it. And the longer we resist, the more that we're going to lose, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Speaking of consumer demographics, at the same time that consumer demographics are changing, so are funeral directors. The average age of funeral home ownership is climbing. What does your research share about the transfer of funeral home ownership and wealth in the next 5 to 10 years and the coming leadership in the profession?
Well, it's a great question, and it's a really important issue. I'm not sure we've done enough yet here at Homesteaders to really understand it. We do know that funeral home owners are aging, just as we all are, and the same trend we see with boomers interested in pre-need is the trend we're going to see with ownership, where they start exiting, they retire. And I think the answer to that dilemma will be, in part, continued consolidation. I think we see no doubt that that's going to be one of the exit strategies for owners. There's still an interest in handing off businesses to the next generation. One of the things we've done, it's a very small thing, but it's something that helps, we think will help, is we've partnered with Drake University here in Des Moines to create an executive development program that's targeted specifically to young funeral home owners who are going to potentially succeed their mom or dad in the business, to give them the kind of business tools that they're going to need to be successful. We've held one of these programs last fall. We got another scheduled this year that will tend to attract 25 to 35-year-olds who are coming in preparing to take over a business. The other thing I'd encourage owners to do is to really look at their employed staff and see if there are people on the staff that could be developed and prepared. I spent a couple of years in between my time with Forethought and Homesteaders owning and operating a recruiting business called Global Recruiters, which is still in operation. I sold to a good friend of mine, Mark Jorgensen, who's still running it, I think, well. And one of the things I learned very quickly was the unwillingness of many funeral home owners to consider women in their employment, and who represent like 57% of the graduates of mortuary schools now. Mm-hmm. And these, I think, kinds of folks who come out of four-year programs, for example, that could come into these firms could be prepared and developed to take over the businesses to avoid, handing the entire industry to SCI. I'm not sure that's going to be healthy for anybody. So we're hopeful that the independent owners can solve this dilemma, but there's no doubt that it is a steamroller, and you're going to see, as boomers exit, you're going to see a lot of shifting of ownership in the industry.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. Well, Steve, we're approaching the funeral new year, so to speak, with NFDA launching, October convention coming up in Philadelphia. What can you give us a sneak peek on anything that Homesteaders may be rolling out at this year's NFDA?
Well, in addition to just having a good presence there and bringing our team, and there's a lot of relationship building that goes on at the NFDA. I've been to, I don't want to tell you how many I've been to. We are going to focus this year, once again, and we did to some degree last year, but focus this year very heavily on technology and some technology solutions we're going to bring to our customers. I'm not going to divulge what they are because my teams will shoot me, but there'll be some new applications we're going to be introducing that'll help our agents and our funeral home owners do a better job in managing their business. And we're going to begin the process of really creating a presence in the digital world, in the digital space. We've been watching it very carefully, and we've been patient about it, but we think it's time now for Homesteaders to invest significantly in technology, not only to improve our efficiency internally, but to help our customers reach consumers more effectively. And we think given the trends we're seeing in all age groups and the use of social media and the use of the web, we think we've got to get involved in a big way. So we're going to be talking more about that at the NFDA.
Excellent.
Excellent. It's interesting. Speaking of that, this is sort of the debut. We have our show. This is show number 40, and we have yet to have an insurance company from pre-need on. So you guys are at the forefront of it. And in fact, you'll be sponsoring some shows for us. So you guys are stepping up to the plate and reaching out, because there's no doubt that reaching consumers has completely changed in the methods by which we do it. And frankly, we can get the message quicker and more, I think, distinctly by having this sort of foray and method to get it out.
It's important for me to mention, too, that Homesteaders isn't interested in selling more insurance to people. We're interested in helping people prepay their funerals. We can only do that in partnership with the funeral homes, but we've got to draw more consumers to the channel. And a lot of them don't know that they can do this. Mm-hmm. They know they can buy a $5,000 policy, but that really is, everybody's doing that. What we need to do is find a way to introduce them to the channel, and that's what we think that the web can accomplish, and that's going to be our mission.
Well, it's interesting because everything we've talked about is primarily education. It's education of not only the funeral home staff and the funeral directors, your staff, and education of the consumers. Yeah. And so if we could do a better job with that and the medium to get it out, then I think we win as an industry and the profession as a total.
Good.
As closing up, Steve, if you're on your first day, we're going to go back, maybe about 15 years when you first started working. And it was your first day and you were a funeral professional, whether it was a director, embalmer, sales, or vendor. What advice would you like to hear on your first day of the job starting out?
At the risk of repeating myself, I think the advice I'd like to hear is how can I get in touch with the needs of my community? And what can I do to find out truly what my community and the people in my town want from me as a funeral home owner, and then deliver it to them. And as it really has to be an outside-in process. And our industry has traditionally made the assumption that consumers don't know what they want, so we're just going to tell them what they want, and it just isn't working anymore. We have got to get out there and learn, and as you say, listen. And so what I'd want is someone to help me figure out, the most effective ways of beyond joining all the Rotaries and all the other activities that funeral homes owners do, how do they get the data they need to make smart decisions? There are a lot of them out there that are doing that. and they're the ones who are going to win, obviously, and hopefully we'll have more winners than losers at the end of the day.
That's true. And providing information so consumers can make educated decisions. Can't ask any better than that.
Yep.
Well, Steve, we are thrilled that number one, you came and spent a little time with us. Your message is loud and clear, and we hope that in the next few months or so that we'll be able to get you back and some of your team there, because we're going to start working and doing some things together. But we're grateful to have leaders like you in this industry that carry a very good voice and well respected in what you do in your field.
Okay, well, you guys do a great job, and thanks very much for giving me the chance to come on.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
It's a fantastic interview. Thank you, Homesteaders, for supporting the Funeral Nation, and for Steve to take time out of his busy schedule to be on the show, give us great insight to just the amount of data that Homesteaders has, how they're digesting that data and using it to position themselves as an innovator in the profession. Super psyched to have them a part of this, and the data that they have that they've talked about and shown us is pretty phenomenal. So the consumer is changing, and we as a profession got to change with them. So the interview segment brought to us by another new sponsor, Sitch Caskets, who is going to be on the show with us next week. And they are really disrupting the casket market here in the U.S. So let's roll that promo.
Funeral Nation is sponsored by Sitch Casket, importers of premium hardwood and fine metal caskets created exclusively for the North American marketplace. Is it a Sitch casket or one of the top U.S. brands? Only your accountant can tell the difference. Visit Sitch Casket or contact your Sitch distributor.
Okay, spotlight on a funeral director. We cross out funeral director and put funeral supplier here. Someone that this guy probably gets to deal with more hard moments and pulls on a lot of heartstrings with what he's doing, and he stepped up to the plate again and hit another home run here.
Right. We like to share positive stories in our industry, and we just can't bypass this one. So we shine our spotlight on a friend of mine and a good guy named Trey Ganem. Trey Ganem is a custom casket designer and artist from Texas. He recently gave a special gift to family members of the 3 Baton Rouge funeral directors that were killed in the ambush. He loaded the caskets on a trailer in downtown Houston, and then he went to Baton Rouge. Trey says they're more than just boxes. They're specially made for Montrell Jackson, Brad Garafola, and Matthew Gerald, who are all killed by the gunman. Trey said that these guys made the ultimate sacrifice for us, and I want to give back. Trey also wore a badge at one time. He reached out to the officers' families in Baton Rouge who saw the caskets for the first time on Thursday last week. Trey said that we don't fight with hate. This is about unity. It's not about color. It's not about any of that. It's about love. And people need to start using their heart. He's not making any money. The caskets were for free. So I'm going to tell you, my hat's off to Trey Ganem and Trey Ganem Designs. They were actually escorted to Baton Rouge by officers on motorcycles to deliver them. And this is more than a positive story about our industry and our profession and what we do and the people that make it up. So Trey, my salute to you. Hey, before we go by here, hold on a second. We got the proprietor here of Don Cigars. You say hello to everybody out there?
Hi.
All right, this is the man that makes it possible here in Phoenix. He's world famous. We got to get somebody to come over here and have a cigar during the live taping of the show sometime too.
You got it, brother. You got it. We got to get somebody on the show and just show up, hang out with you for the 20 minutes we shoot this puppy. So, spotlight on a funeral director segment is brought to us by Homesteaders Life Company. Roll that promo.
Homesteaders Life Company is proud to be the most often used pre-need funding company among the nationally recognized providers according to a recent independent study by McGuire Research. Homesteaders celebrating 110 years of strength, security, and commitment to promoting the value of funeral service.
All right, Jeff, this is where we take our segment where we take a lighthearted look at something going on in the funeral profession. You pull out these crazy images and find these somewhere on the intraweb every week. So you're gonna take a good laugh at this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and see it really makes you say, "What the funeral?" So, what are we looking at here?
Don't step on the brakes too fast, especially when you got a casket in the back.
Is this step on the
I don't
brakes,
know
or
if
is
this was
take
a
off?
funeral coach or what was going on, but that's a real bad day, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a real bad day. Maybe hit the gas a little too hard, and the casket just slid right out the back window, right off the gurney with the rollers on it, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this
Or it's a real bad
coffin.
prank. They're pranking somebody.
Yeah, could you imagine if you're the car behind this one, right? What the sucker slows out of there?
You know, there
Anyway.
the story this week of the lady that drove around the United States at different historical sites with her husband on ice in a casket. How about that? So,
Hey, you know what? They got half price on the hotel, so what the heck?
can't beat it. Can't
Times
beat
are
it.
tough out here, buddy.
All right, if you find something that makes you say WTF, what the funeral, send it over to us so we can feature it on the show. This WTF segment is sponsored by Disrupt Media and the Disrupt You Show. Roll that promo.
At Disrupt Media, we're a social media content agency that focuses on storytelling for funeral companies. We use real stories to build creative strategies that achieve actual business goals. Want to learn more? Visit disruptmedia.co.
All right, this wraps up episode 41. We are well on our way to 50. And next week on 42, what can the folks expect?
A disruptor. We're going to have the CEO of Sitch Casket Company that's making a big entry into the casket world out here in the United States. So we look forward to having him.
Absolutely. And it's nice to see you back in the normal habitat this week with a cigar, a little bit
Thank
of
you, Lord.
drink, and relaxing some. So we're back in the grind. Make sure you're engaging with us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our website, funeralnation.tv, where you can see all the updated episodes, submit a nomination for Spotlight on a Funeral Director, as well as upload some WTF images that you want to see featured. Also, share and subscribe. If you do anything, share this video, share our episodes, comment below, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just engage with us because the reason we do this show is to benefit the profession. So the more you engage with us, the more you can help us in our mission. All right, brother. Until next time, have a great effing week.
Out here.